Influenza is evergreen. It is always with us. Every year we have a seasonal epidemic of influenza, and sometimes we have pandemics. There were 3 in the last century, and we've already had 1 this century. We know there will be more pandemics, and by working to prepare for pandemics of influenza, we can strengthen our preparedness and response to seasonal influenza. And the work that we do for seasonal influenza makes us more protected against pandemics.
There's a lot that CDC is doing to prepare. We break things out into what we call task forces. We have a group that looks at the epidemiology and laboratory, all of that to characterize the virus and determine where it's coming from. We have groups that understand community mitigation, so they come up with guidance on how to have social distancing and to prevent people from coming together to make the virus transmit less. We have a vaccine task force whose job it is to make sure that when the pandemic starts up and we have to have a vaccine available, they're all ready to get it distributed and to monitor the safety, etc. We also have groups that deal with countermeasures, and so they monitor the strategic national stockpile, the antiviral drugs that are available. They work with manufacturers and work with large pharmacy chains. All of that comes together and then gets turned into translated messages that our communications task force actually takes care of as well. So lots of different parts all working together, coming together very quickly so that we could respond as fast as possible.
I was waiting for the first news headline to have something about FEMA or FEMA facilities that were going to be used for these quarantines. Well, today we got it. Coronavirus evacuees in Alabama. Anniston FEMA facility will house cruise ship passengers. Local leaders said they were completely caught off guard by the announcement, which they learned about on Saturday afternoon through local news media. The Calhoun County Commission announced on Saturday evening that it will ask a court to stop the transportation of the evacuees. Okay, California is doing the same thing.
They were supposed to come here.
We have parks. There's a soccer field that kids play on.
30 to 70 patients who tested positive for coronavirus to be transferred as soon as Monday to Fairview Developmental Center in Costa Mesa, California.
It's not the kind of facility where you're isolated and you can quarantine individuals.
City officials said they found out about the government's plans on Thursday evening and immediately took action to stop it. On Friday, a district judge granted the city a temporary restraining order, stopping any transport of patients to Costa Mesa. In a court filing, city officials called Fairview a dilapidated complex surrounded by residential neighborhoods, saying it was not intended to house individuals infected with a highly contagious and deadly disease.
Our concerns at this time are the fact that we still have limited information in terms of what actually is going to transpire with the quarantine coming in.
California HHS said Fairview is just one of the locations under consideration for this purpose. The news sparking outrage in this small Orange County community.
I don't want it to happen to my little grandbaby that lives with me that's 10 months old.
The episode underscoring the difficulties that lie ahead, as the CDC says they're bracing for the likely spread of coronavirus in the United States.
For example, there's an epidemic in China, but it isn't a pandemic for the world yet, but it very well could be.
So you have the CDC bringing these people in and trying to put them in those 2 locations. But as of right now, they're already here and they're already in quarantines, okay? Here, they are currently being housed at Department of Defense facilities in Texas, California, or Colorado as part of 14-day quarantines. Okay, now just know, they just went through a living hell on that boat, okay? And for them to now be going through this is just, it's hard to imagine what they're going through. Okay, so now let's look into this facility, this FEMA facility. I think you're gonna like some of this stuff. You know how so many times we have seen them do the training, run drills, and then shortly after something follows, okay? They prepare, they get set up, and then it happens. We see them doing this testing and drilling a ton. But I want you to see what happened just a few months ago in this Anniston FEMA camp. We'll call it a FEMA facility. I don't want to say FEMA camps and get everybody wound up.
Recently, FEMA's Center for Domestic Preparedness held training sessions for healthcare responders on how to treat patients with highly infectious diseases. More than 130 healthcare responders received some of the nation's best training on how to first recognize when someone is ill to isolation and recovery. The CDP trained healthcare responders in its hospital training facility, where they have a new highly infectious disease ward. The ward spans more than 4,000 square feet and includes a number of rooms where doctors and nurses have to put on and take off personal protective equipment.
What we really try to achieve here is we push the student as best as possible to relate a critical incident that they would be dealing with almost to the point of failure. But we don't let them fail. We reach out and we grab them and we bring them back in and we regroup, we reteach, we give them some possible solutions that they could implement to make a better realistic decision with whatever type of incident that they are involved in at that point.
The world is currently grappling with the second largest Ebola outbreak on record, this time in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The virus has killed more than 2,100 people in that country since August of 2018. Ray News says it's important that people are aware of the training that is available in order to properly handle outbreak events.
Last year we trained almost at the CDP a little over 30,000. And they came from all 50 states and 12 U.S. territories and islands. We're here to train you and make our communities safer and better in any situation, especially when they have emergencies or disasters or catastrophic events that they're trying to deal with.
Don't you think it's a pretty big coincidence that they did this training on November 11th, 2019? Awfully close to when this all started. The CDP opened its highly infectious disease ward in late August. The ward spans more than 4,000 square feet and includes a number of enclosed rooms that allow for the isolation and safe treatment of patients with highly infectious diseases. Okay, and now they are going to take these people and put them into that facility. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, yeah, that's a good thing. That place is obviously prepared for it, and that would be the safest place for them, okay? Well, that would make sense if they didn't already put them in other facilities and trying to put them in a California facility that is nothing like this one. So that goes out the window. You can't just say they're taking them here because it's the best place, okay? If it is the best place, it's because they were preparing and making it the best place, especially in the last year. It's one thing if the training was done years ago or is done repeatedly every month or something like that. I understand they're always training. But the odds of them running this exact type of drill just weeks before so that they can test exactly these things. Thank you all. I have a couple more videos that I will have out tomorrow. I hope you all have a good night. Thanks for the support. God bless.